Hello, guys. Waiting for everybody to join. We are starting our weekend courses once again. Your WBSET is going to be on the 8th of January. So I thought to boost your preparation, we will do model tests today and tomorrow, so that you will be able to read up extra on all the authors and works that we cover. And we will do more and more such quizzes and model tests so that you will be ready for the exams. Did you like that? I'm sharing my screen. WBSET is based on largely contemporary literature, Indian literature, criticism and theory, research methods, literary terms, but there will also be some questions on traditional literature. So we are going to cover all these topics in the two-day model test we have this weekend. Before the exam, we will do more WBSET model tests. So are you ready to start? Open your chat boxes and ready to answer. First question comes to you. Which of the following is true about Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni? I'm so sorry for the bad formatting. Which of the following, next day when I do it, I will change the formatting so that you will be able to see it properly. Which of the following is true about Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni? She writes historical fiction. She writes about women who are censored by the press. She writes about immigrants, especially women. All of these. Tell me, guys, does she write historical fiction? Which are her important works? Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, as you know, is a writer from Indian writer from America. She is the author of The Mistress of Spices, Sister of My Heart, The Vine of Desire, Palace of Illusions is based on Mahabharata, Forest of Enchantments is based on Ramayana, and she has written about history. She has written about women who are censored by the press. She has written about immigrants. Please read up Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. As many of you are saying, all of these is the answer. All of these are correct. Now, who is considered to be the Dickens of the Elizabethan stage for his intimate knowledge of the common man? Who is considered to be Dickens of the Elizabethan stage? Because he knew about the lower class people, the ordinary people. Is it Christopher Marlowe, Thomas Dekker, William Wordsworth, or Ben Jonson? Actually, Ben Jonson knew about the common man. William Wordsworth knew about the common man as well, but he cannot be called Elizabethan stage Dickens. Is it Ben Jonson? Is it Thomas Dekker? Is it Christopher Marlowe? His most important play came in 1599. Do you know who that is? He took part in War of the Theatres. So it is not Christopher Marlowe. War of the Theatres is Ben Jonson and Marston Dekker. So answer is Thomas Dekker. Thomas Dekker's major play Shoemaker's Holiday came in 1599. Thomas Dekker wrote city comedies or citizen comedies. Those are plays that are depicting the lower class life, the criminal life in London. City comedies or citizen comedies. Thomas Dekker was an important member of the Elizabethan and Jacobean court. He wrote for Lord Admiral's men of Philip Henslow, and He was a friend of Thomas Nash, Thomas Lodge, etc. So he was both associated with university wits and post-Shakespearean drama. And Dekker's The Witch of Edmonton is famous. What are the works by Dekker? The Old Fortunatus, then Honest Girl, The Honest Whore and Roaring Girl. They are also famous. He has written 3 tragedies: Lust, Dominion, The Witch of Edmonton, and The Virgin Martyr. Most famous is Shoemaker's Holiday. Shoemaker's Holiday is a comedy about Rowland Lacey disguising as a shoemaker in order to get close to his sweetheart, Rose. Rose is the daughter of the Lord Mayor of London. These are very important with regard to Thomas Dekker. He was called Dickens of the Elizabethan stage because Dekker knew citizens of London, or the lower class people of London, very intimately. Am I boring you with the explanation, guys? Thank you for saying all the correct answers. I'm inspired by your correct answers. Walter Raleigh wrote his book. I'm sorry, I know that you cannot see the question properly. It is because of the wrong formatting. We'll correct it tomorrow. Walter Raleigh wrote his book, History of the World, while he was Dash. Walter Raleigh wrote his book, History of the World, while he was, is it living in exile? While he was in prison, while he was studying, while he was traveling. Which of these is correct? Walter Raleigh wrote his book, History of the World. That's a very important book. It was while he was in prison. Walter Raleigh was also an important writer. He was a privateer or pirate who was employed by Elizabeth. He was also the addressee of the letter, introductory letter to Fairy Queen. Walter Raleigh also was a writer. He wrote History of the World, Ocean to Cynthia. These are famous works of Walter Raleigh. Minor works of Elizabethan period, Jacobean period, etc. could be very important. Please study it. Okay, guys? And his History of the World was written while he was in prison. Very good. Chaman Nahal won the Sahitya Academy Award in 1977. Which work won the 1977 Sahitya Academy Award? Many questions in SET exam will be from award-winning books. So Sahitya Academy Award in English, please look up all the authors and works. Okay? Pulitzer Prize, Booker Prize, Sahitya Academy Award, Nobel Prize, all are very important. Which book of Chaman Nahal won the Sahitya Academy Award in 1977? Is it My True Phases, Into Another Dawn, Azadi, and The Crown and the Loincloth? Tell me, guys, which of these won Sahitya Academy Award? It is, as all of you are saying, Azadi. Azadi is one of the 4 works that he wrote as a quartet. Chaman Nahal's Gandhi Quartet. It is. Azadi means freedom, obviously. Azadi, The Crown and the Loincloth, The Salt of Life, and The Triumph of the Tricolor. These are the 4 works which are called Gandhi Quartet. Chaman Nahal has also written My True Faces, one work, Into Another Dream, The English Queens, etc. Will you remember? These are important works by Chaman Nahal. Azadi could be important. Please try to read the summary. For Indian literature, for novels of Indian literature, we don't have Wikipedia summaries sometimes. Please look up Shodh Ganga. There are many dissertations there on Indian literature where you will get the summaries. Okay, my own PhD dissertation is there in Shodh Ganga, and I see it sometimes. So Chaman Nahal's Gandhi Quartet has the novel Azadi, 1975 novel it is. That was the year in which I was born. Did you know that? Sorry. Identify the work which is not an Oriental tale written by Byron. Byron has written Oriental Tales. Did you know that, guys? Oriental Tales are books that Byron wrote because of his fascination with the Near East. Near East matlab, the Middle East. Not the Far East, but the Middle East. Byron had traveled in the Middle East and he had written about it in Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. Childe Harold's Pilgrimage is a book that he wrote about his travels. These are narrative poems telling narrative tales. And after he came back from his Oriental travels, he wrote some Oriental tales. Which of these is not an Oriental tale? Is it the Bride of Abydos, the Giaour, the Corsair, or the Prisoner of Chillon? Tell me. The answer is the Prisoner of Chillon. Listen to me, guys. Byron wrote Oriental tales, the Giaour, the Bride of Abydos, the Corsair, and its sequel, Lara. The Prisoner of Chillon was written when he was in Geneva. He visited Chateau de Chillon, which is a prison where the political activist Francois Bonivar was imprisoned. The Prisoner of Chillon is the story of Francois Bonivar. And he wrote it when he was in Geneva. Okay, if you know the biography of Byron, you will be able to guess and remember a lot of things. Please read the biography of the important writers. Are you enjoying, guys? Are you loving this? Is this helping you? I hope this is motivating you to read more and start studying once again. We will come back with more videos and YouTube live also. Okay, right. Next question. The power to narrate or block other narratives from forming and emerging is very important to culture and imperialism and constitutes one of the main connections between them. Which famous post-colonial critic said this? Listen, read everybody. The power to narrate or to block other narratives from forming and emerging. That means the imperialists have the power of storytelling. They will tell the story of the Orient in their own ways. The imperialists also block Oriental narratives. They will replace Oriental narratives with their own narratives. That is the meaning of this quotation. The imperialists will block all other narratives, will tell their own narrative. As all of you are answering, it is the famous post-colonial critic. Is it Homi Bhabha, Edward Said, Frantz Fanon, or Gayatri Spivak? It is Edward Said. Edward Said wrote the book Orientalism in 1978, as you know, and he is describing the critical concept of Orientalism to describe the perception of the Orient by the Westerners, how the Westerners are looking at the Orient, how they are stereotyping the Orient, how they are replacing a false story of the Orient with the, they are replacing the reality of the Orient with their false stories. They are saying that the Orient is negative, the Orient is other, the Orient is no good. Read Orientalism, at least the opening, because there may be questions based on the actual text. So please read at least the opening of Orientalism. Before WBSET and even NET, you have a lot of time. Use it to read originally also. And also look up original excerpts, okay? Don't just mug up. Don't use shortcuts. You're not going to pass because of shortcuts. You don't want to pass by luck. You want to pass because of your knowledge. And it is easy to get it if only you dedicate some time for it. Which of the following statements appropriately defines trochee? What is trochee? It is a metrical form. As you know, the most common metrical form in English is iamb. What is iamb? Iamb is unstressed followed by stressed. Iamb is unstressed followed by stressed. Trochee is the opposite of iamb. Trochee, easy to remember. Trocky is the opposite of iamb. So it is stressed followed by unstressed. Trocky is stressed followed by unstressed. And there is one more called spondy, that is too stressed. Spondy will only occur occasionally in poetry. One whole poem cannot be in spondy. Opposite of spondy is pyrrhic, where there are two unstressed syllables. Now there is anapest and dactyl. Dactyl is used in heroic poetry. Dactyl starts with stressed, like trocky. Dactyl is stressed followed by two unstressed. Anapest is like iamb, ends with stressed. Two unstressed followed by stressed is anapest. Okay, iamb opposite trocky. Iamb opposite trocky. Iamb is like anapest. That means ending with stressed. Dactyl is like trocky. That means starting with stress. If you study this relation, then you will never go wrong. I hope you have understood, and I hope it is clear, guys. I hope you're enjoying this session. If you are loving this, please like the video and share it with your friends. Who among the following won the Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1999? Is it Seamus Heaney? No. That was 1995. Vole Soyinka? No. That was 1987. Günter Grass or V.S. Naipaul? It is Günter Grass. Please study the Nobel Prize winners from English literature. They will ask one question based on that. And Günter Grass is the author of Danzig trilogy. Günter Grass wrote Danzig trilogy. Günter Grass is a German writer. His Danzig trilogy contains 3 novels: The Tin Drum, Cat and Mouse, and Dog Years. Dog, Y-E-A-R-S. The Tin Drum, Cat and Mouse, and Dog Years. Günter Grass was also a writer who was politically active. He was controversial for his politics. These days, I am doing water affirmation because my online student Kajal asked me to do it. Before drinking water, I am telling myself I'm absolutely healthy, I'm absolutely happy, everything is fine with me. Like that positivity I'm spreading, and I'm thinking positive things. It's working really well. Thank you, Kajal. You should also do that. English Studies in India, Widening Horizons, is a 2002 work by, is it Swati Joshi or A.L. Khanna, C.D. Narasimhaya, or G.J.V. Prasad? English Studies in India. This person was a very famous professor from Mysore, and he has also written another book on English Studies in India. It is called Moving Frontiers of English Studies in India. Who wrote Moving Frontiers of English Studies in India and English Studies in India, Widening Horizons? He is from Mysore. He is C.D. Narasimhaya, a very major critic and academic from India. C.D. Narasimhaya ji was the author of Moving Frontiers and also English Studies in India. The epic Meghnad Badhkavya. From the title, you know he's a Bengali, but all the options are names of Bengalis. Who wrote Meghnad Badhkavya? Is it Michael Madhusudan Dutt, Henry de Rosio, Toru Dutt, or Sri Aurobindo? It is a very easy question to many of you. You are telling me the correct answer. It is Michael Madhusudan Dutt, who was a Bengali poet and playwright. Michael Madhusudan Dutt was a very important figure, and he was related to Toru Dutt and Aru Dutt. Meghnad Badhkavya is a very important work by Michael Madhusudan Dutt. He has also written other important plays like Tilottama, Ratnavali. Tilottama also is very famous. You might have heard of it. And he also wrote The Captive Lady, a poem. The Captive Lady by Michael Madhusudan Dutt. With which style guideline for research is Joseph Gibaldi associated? With which research guideline book is Joseph Gibaldi associated? Joseph Gibaldi, is he associated with Chicago Manual of Style, APA style, or MLA style? Or is it Vancouver style? It is MLA style. MLA style is a very important style sheet for English literature students. However, when you publish articles abroad, you might have to study APA style also. MLA guidelines will teach us to write the work cited properly and also in-text citations. You have to do in-text citations within brackets. And I have made a video on MLA citations examples I have given there. Please watch that video. Google search and watch it. Which Shakespearean character sings the fog ballad, "The poor soul sat sighing by a sycamore tree"? The poor soul sat sighing by a sycamore tree. It is the famous Willow Song. Who sang the Willow Song? Is it Feste in Twelfth Night, Desdemona in Othello, Jacques in As You Like It, or Touchstone in As You Like It? It is Desdemona in Othello. The Willow Song tells the audience what is going to happen after this. Desdemona is going to die. Tragedy is going to happen. That tragedy is foreshadowed in the Willow Song that Desdemona is singing. Desdemona is singing a song that her mother had taught her. This song is sung minutes before Othello kills her. Will you remember, guys? This is Desdemona in Othello. Identify the play by T.S. Eliot which portrays an individual's opposition to authority. An individual is standing up against authority. And it was composed in response to the rise of fascism in Central Europe. The Elder Statesman, Murder in the Cathedral, The Confidential Clerk, and The Family Reunion. Which of these plays portrays an individual's opposition to authority? It is, of course, as many of you know, Murder in the Cathedral, a 1935 play it is. A 1935 play. It is in two parts with a prose interlude in between. In two parts with a prose interlude in between. Murder in the Cathedral was first performed at the Canterbury Cathedral. It is set in December 1170. And it is regarded, it is based on the murder of St. Thomas Becket by the 4 knights of Henry II. It was modeled on the ancient miracle plays. This play, Murder in the Cathedral, was modeled on the ancient miracle plays. And this play is modeled on not only miracle plays, but also it has an element of Greek tragedy, that is the chorus. The poor women of Canterbury are the chorus in Murder in the Cathedral. We see the protagonist, St. Thomas Becket, embracing martyrdom. Please read extra about all these authors and works. They could be very important in your exam. Identify the day on which the action of Edward Albee's play, The Zoo Story, takes place. On which day does the Zoo Story take place? I am looking at your messages. Is it Sunday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Saturday? Answer me. Many of you are getting it right. Some of you are going wrong. It is Sunday. The Zoo Story is a one-act play by the absurd playwright Edward Albee, American absurd playwright Edward Albee. This play was originally called Peter and Jerry. This play is set in the Central Park in New York on a park bench on a Sunday. Jerry is a poor, lonely man sitting there, and Peter, a middle-class man, comes and sits beside him. Jerry tries to make conversation with Peter, and it is all absurd. Finally, Jerry gets Peter to kill him. This is the story of the Zoo Story by Edward Albee. Edward Albee is a very important playwright. There are other plays of Edward Albee like The Sandbox, American Dream, etc., which are important. Please read about Edward Albee. Dash is a verse consisting of 2 couplets. What is the verse form where there are 2 couplets? Matlab, there are 4 lines. Is it quadruplet? Ayyo, quadruplet is not even a verse. Chiasmus, clerihue, quatrain. Which of these has 4 lines comprising 2 couplets? Tell me the answer. It is clerihue. Clerihue is a poem usually written about some famous people. 4 lines written about famous people. That is clerihue. It has a rhyme scheme AABB. That is why it is called 2 couplets. 2 lines rhyming, 2 lines rhyming together. AABB. And even though clerihues are about famous people, most of the time they are very funny. They are very funny because of this rhyme scheme. They come out as funny. In Prothalamion, who sings the line, "Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song"? Are you loving this, guys? This video? Is it helping you? Will you please read extra? We will cover all the main topics like this so that you will be able to read extra. Let me see what are your answers. Tell me the answers. Yes. Is it I will read the options. Is it a nymph who is singing this refrain? Is it a lark who is singing this refrain? Is it the little girls who are singing this refrain? Is it the maids? Many of you know it is a nymph who is singing this refrain. The poet is standing near the Thames River and he finds a group of nymphs with baskets. They are all plucking flowers, and these flowers are woven into the wreath for the 2 swans. These swans are the brides, Catherine and Elizabeth Somerset. They are the bridal crowns. And the nymphs and swans are going down the river towards the house of Earl of Essex, where their bridegrooms meet them. And as they are traveling down the river, it is actually a tributary of the Thames called River Lee. Then one of the nymphs is singing, "Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song." And the 2 swans meeting their bridegrooms, it is related to the myth of Leda and the swan, Leda and Zeus. That myth is alluded to in Prothalamion. Will you remember all these details? Some of these details could be invaluable in your exam. Please read extra and study these works. Which of the following poems by Auden begins with an ironic epigraph? "To J as 07M378, the marble monument is erected by the state"? Is it The Shield of Achilles, Musée des Beaux-Arts, The Unknown Citizen, or In Memory of Sigmund Freud? Which of these poems by Auden? It is The Unknown Citizen. Ironically, the citizen or the protagonist about whom he is talking is unknown. The poem is a satire on, the individual being replaced by the system. Everything in the country becomes standardized and the individual has no value. The bureaucracy, the system takes over. That is the meaning of The Unknown Citizen. He describes here a fascist state and people get reduced to arbitrary numbers and letters. Their identity is lost in such a state. Did you understand, everybody? Are you tired? Only some questions more. Who makes the remarkable statement? Addison speaks the language of poets and Shakespeare of men. So he's actually attacking Addison here, saying that Addison is writing in an artificial language, while Shakespeare is writing in a real human language. Who says this? Is it Leo Tolstoy, Samuel Johnson, Alexander Pope, or Thomas Love Peacock? It is Samuel Johnson who says this in preface to Shakespeare. He says in preface to Shakespeare that Shakespeare's characters are of no time or place. They are universal. Shakespeare is depicting, Shakespeare is doing a just representation of human nature. That is a famous quotation from preface to Shakespeare. A just representation of characters of real life he is doing, Shakespeare is doing. And Shakespeare's language is the language of men. However, Johnson criticized Shakespeare's use of punning and quibbling as Shakespeare's fatal Cleopatra, for which he lost the world and was content to lose it. Shakespeare lost the world for punning and quibbling. Punning and quibbling or playing with words, playing with sounds, that was his nemesis, fatal Cleopatra. And here, the preface to Shakespeare can be divided into three parts. At first, he talks about Shakespeare's representation of nature. Then he praises Shakespeare. Then he talks about Shakespeare's demerits. Identify the poet who was highly influenced by Bibliotheca Classica. Who was influenced by Bibliotheca Classica, the dictionary of mythical classics. Is it John Keats, P.B. Shelley, Lord Byron, or William Wordsworth? Obviously, he must have written a lot of classical stories, Hellenic stories, Greek stories. It is John Keats. In works like Ode on a Grecian Urn, Lamia, La Belle Dame Sans Mercy, Hyperion, The Fall of Hyperion, etc. So many works of Keats are Hellenic. Who introduced the phrase, the empire writes back to the center? The Empire Writes Back is a book by Bill Ashcroft, Gareth Griffiths, and Helen Tiffin. But who first used the phrase, the empire writes back to the center? Is it Edward Said, Salman Rushdie, Bill Ashcroft, or Chinua Achebe? Many of you know this. It is Salman Rushdie. Rushdie wrote a 1982 article. You might have heard this title, The Empire Writes Back with a Vengeance. That is the article. 1982 article. Please look it up in Google. In the essay of dramatic poesy, Neander made a remark that they are indeed the beauties of a statue, not of a man. It is statue, I think. They are indeed the beauties of a statue, but not of a man. Statute. This statement refers to what? French plays. In Of Dramatic Poesy, there are four characters: Eugenius, Crites, Lycidius, and Neander. First to speak is Crites. Crites is supporting the ancients. Then Eugenius speaks, supporting the moderns. Then Lycidius speaks, supporting French plays. At last, Neander speaks, supporting English plays against French plays. In the quotation that we just saw, he's attacking French plays. Now, next question. Which of the following is an indication of the quality of a research journal? Is it impact factor, H index, G index, I-10 index? It is impact factor. Impact factor is a sociometric, scientometric device to tell us how many times article in a journal has been cited. How many times there has been citations. Journal impact factor, it is called. Clary Waite's Web of Science is are the people who introduced impact factor. They are the people calculating it. Clary Waite, C-L-A-R-I-V-A-T-E. Please read about impact factor, then you will know. The term world Englishes was coined by the Indian linguist Dash. The term world Englishes, that is actually the name of a book. Who wrote that book? Is it Braj B. Kacharu, Prabal Das Gupta, Baljinder Mahal, or Deepesh Chakrabarti? World Englishes is a term for all the local or indigenized varieties of English developed by Braj B. Kacharu in his book. World Englishes is the term referring to the indigenized varieties of English. Which poem? That is a mighty easy poem, and that is the last mighty easy question everybody would know. Is it Ash Wednesday, The Wasteland, Little Gidding, or Gerontian? The drowned Phoenician sailor comes in The Wasteland. The drowned Phoenician sailor is a reference to a tarot card used by Madame Sosostris. Madame Sosostris is taking a tarot card, a Jewish tarot card, and warning fear death by water. And this drowned Phoenician sailor is an ambiguous symbol for rebirth. He's drowned, but he's also reborn. So that brings us to the end of this model test on English literature for WBSET. I hope you enjoyed this session. Tomorrow I will do another model test. Please study and come. And please remember to read every single author and work that I'm mentioning here. They are very, very important. Thank you all of you for attending this session. Please like the video and share it. And all thanks to Team Tess for all these amazing questions. So with that, we end this session. I hope you will join me tomorrow also. Thank you very much and good night.